Well, in the coming weeks, students across our area head back to classrooms where apps, group chats, and AI tools are now part of everyday learning. This raises new questions about privacy and boundaries. Nuala O'Connor, an AI privacy and online safety expert, has advice for parents who may be concerned that their kids are relying too much on AI in school.
And the litmus test, I think, should be, did your child learn something from this assignment? I heard recently the idea that ask your child to explain their answer to you without any materials near them at all, without the computer, without any books, without any written materials. If they can't explain what they're talking about, what their analysis is of this book or whatever their term paper is about without the crutch, then it really wasn't a learning moment for them and they need to go back to basics. You see more and more schools, as you've heard, and lots of universities going back to written exams for this very reason, to prove that the individual has the knowledge in their head. That's what we're here for, is to learn. And again, this is just a high-tech version of cheating if it's used improperly.
So what are some signs that a student may be ready for more independence from devices?
I think it's a kind of a three-stage approach that matches elementary, middle school, and high school. But really, the first question is the child's maturity where you think it needs to be for the new freedoms? In general, elementary school students, you're right there with them. You're not letting them, you're letting them use apps if you're on them with them, if you know their passwords, if you're supervising. And at any age, we want to limit the number of hours at any one sitting to make sure they're getting outside, they're doing other things with their brain, their vision, all sorts of things. In the middle school, obviously they're doing a lot more social connectivity. You want your child to have friends. You want them to engage in healthy behaviors and relationships. So you're kind of co-piloting their use of the internet and their use of these apps. You're checking in with them frequently. You might still have their passwords depending on how that conversation goes with your child. When they're getting to high school, you want them to launch and be ready by the end of high school to go to college, to go to work, to know how to self-regulate. That's the goal. You want your child to be a responsible citizen on the internet, to post responsibly about themselves and about others. There's a whole conversation around deepfakes, which are, again, potentially very damaging if used inappropriately about them or about others. But the goal here is independent, healthy, responsible use. And so little by little, you're taking a back seat. You're helping coach, but you're not supervising their use unless they're getting into trouble.
It really is an extraordinary moment that we're in because we're becoming so much more reliant on these chatbots, not just for help with the chore or homework or whatever, but also to build a relationship too. So you're building trust with an algorithm and a robot.
Such an important point to remember, that they are not alive. And people laugh when I say that, but they are anthropomorphized, meaning they are computers that are taking on attributes of human beings. And it's, as you've said before, hugely controversial in the use of AI, generative AI in schools, also in the healthcare system. Potential great opportunities, but also real risk that these are devices that do not have codes of ethics like therapists would in the real world, and that people, lonely people, especially people who are isolated, whether they're seniors or simply isolated from peers, become increasingly reliant on them. So I encourage people simply to talk to their kids, talk to them every single day. No phones at the dinner table. If there's another rule I could leave you with, no phones at the dinner table. Everybody looks each other in the eye and talks about what they did that day. And I also, when they were younger, was checking in a lot about, what are you doing online? What are you seeing? Who are you talking to? Asking those questions. If not, once a week, if not every day.
Nuala O'Connor, AI privacy and online safety expert. I appreciate your time and your insight.